Back again here for Jersey Shore Season 2, Episode 8. And I apologize, I've been saying there's only 12 episodes. There's actually 13, not including the reunion, but we're not going to the reunion because there's no point again on that. And I do have to apologize. I didn't explain why Nicole and J.O. were cleaning this mushroom, because a guy by the name of Dennis was going to come over and get it on with Snooki. Now, J.O. and Snooki were just sitting at home alone, and they asked if the guy has any friends, hot friends, and the guy shows up, and J.O. was like, "Oh, man grenade. Been there, done that, I know." So, anyway, what happens is Snooki gets it on with Dennis, okay? So we'll go back on the recap exactly what happens in the next part with episode 8. So anyway, the smush, and it kind of recaps Jose buying stuff for Angelina, but then Vinny actually hooked up with someone, but it wasn't the Hooters girl like I was alluding to. It was actually Angelina. Angelina hooked up with Vinny. Now, there's one moment, Vinny, she says she hates Vinny. Next minute, she's hooking up with him. And Mike's like, "What?" And even Paulie tried to interfere with that when Vinny's like, "Hey, you gotta be surprised." "Are you sure, dude? Are you really sure on this?" And Paulie was trying to be a friend to say, "Hey, you may not want to do this, you know. Let's get back to said." But he was pretty down, so it was okay. And it's hard to say no in that kind of a situation, but he did. So anyway, Angelina hooks up with Vinny, and Nicole, or Snooki, gets snooked by Dennis. So on that. So anyway, after the next morning, then Mike is calling Angelina a whore. It says, like, "You have proven to the world the hoe equation works, because you get nice stuff from this nice guy, and the guy treats you like shit. You bang him and not the nice guy." On that, and he says, "You're a hypocritical whore." And then exactly what she said. On top of that, you're banging Vinny. I mean, what are you gonna tell Jose? It was his birthday's a few days. "Oh, I banged my boyfriend," or "No, I banged Vinny." Oh, so it got kind of ugly. But meantime, Vinny was his family was gonna come down and visit, and they come and visit him. And oh, the legendary Uncle Nino, which this guy was just classic Italian. He's like you said, you don't understand a word he says until like the last few words, but he was so cool. He's like, "I love you, blah blah blah, blah, love you," and everyone was like, yeah. He was a great guy, and he was really cool about it. And Vinny's mom's in there like getting her food ready, cooking, and she comes down to Miami, has like 4 or 5 bags all filled with food, like one set of clothes. And Mike sees this, is like, "You should be thankful you got a mom like this, dude. Seriously, be very thankful you had this." So anyway, for that day, Vinny's mom is cooking, and she starts employing all the girls, say, "Please do this, please do this." And of course, they're totally willing to do it, because you got a pro here showing them how to do it. And and you know, they have this they cook this huge dinner with 3 helpings. Actually, the first pasta, second main course, third dessert, and this is over a long period of time. And they were kind of saying this is an Italian family, a lot of ham movement. This is the thing, I don't want to offend anybody out there, but a lot of ham movement, that can be very intimidating if you're not used to that. So it's going back and forth, and after the dinner and after everything is all good and all that, Mike starts insisting to Angelina she tell Jose that he hooked up with Vinny on that, so he knows what's going on, because he says he likes Jose and he doesn't like seeing him get played on that. And this was like during the dinner here, and after the dinner they had this big hot tub party, and of all people, JWoww on that invites Nino to go in the hot tub, and Nino's like, yeah, with a cigarette and cigars. It was like classic. And he says, "I don't see girls." JWoww was like a supermodel, and so him, he was like the top of the world. He wasn't gonna do anything. He was just as a style. So they loved it. He was so cool. And Mike, he keeps instigating Angela, "I want to tell Jose on that about it, because you're fake. You're a hypocritical hoe, and you're gonna hurt this guy's feeling, which I kind of like him as a person, and I'm not gonna let you do that to somebody like this." And on top of that, with Vinny, even though Vinny Vinny really, I know he probably wasn't in his right mind, but he really should have been like, hey, this shouldn't do this, but hey, on that. So, and then, so the girls go out clubbing on that, and then this Cuban guy named Alex shows up, and and then they're meeting this Cuban guy, and then Mike steals Vinny's girl at the club. Then the girl leaves on the course, and Mike is being too aggressive because he actually got her girl and her friend back to the here, and then at their room to smush, and then they didn't want to smush, and they were goofing around. Then they're like, "Oh, I got a boyfriend," and he's like, "What? You dragged me all over here to tell me you have a boyfriend? You should have felt ashamed back in the club. Thank you for wasting my time." So. So anyway, they got in this conversation. I don't know where they get this conversation. The situation was telling Polly, "We're not going to find a girl at 6 a.m. in the morning." So situation's kind of all this number, all these freaking answering machine numbers, nothing. And then Polly calls us, actually got a hold of someone, told her to come over, and she did. And he says, "Can you bring someone with no grenades?" And this was cool, the girl. She came over and told Mike to his face, "All my friends are grenades." And he's like, I respect that. And that at least you're honest with me. And it was cool to have that. So then he goes get a sandwich and he watches the Smush show with Paulie, which is kind of creepy but kind of funny at the same time because he was messing with Paulie. He's like, "You want half my sandwich?" So kind of creepy, but it was funny on that. So anyway, with that being bad, being actually good for Paulie, bad for Mike, on that, he starts focusing back on Angelina, saying Angelina is a fairy. On that, he's like, if everybody has a rod, it's free. On that, and I get the joke there. On that, and it's kind of weird that he's so upset with that, but I see where he's coming from. Now, interesting enough, during this whole situation, Paulie actually found a nice girl that he's actually really into, and so did Vinny. Rona, which is here, and they're actually considering them going on a date, a real date with these girls here. So Vinny calls and asks her later, so she says yes. Well, not really on that. So, at the time she says, "I'll go out a date with you, Vinny," and Paulie's girl will go out with him. So they're out there, they're getting their stuff, their nice clothes, flowers, their wifey up them the whole time. All right, and then Rona just disappears. Doesn't pick up her phone, nothing. So he feels like he got played and got kicked in the stomach. And he was just really feeling down low, and people were trying to say, "Hey, just come out with us, I know what you're feeling, just come on, man, you gotta take a shower, shake it off." I understand where Vinny's coming. He's had some success, and when you have some success and you get kicked in the chest or stomach like that, it's a real blow. But when you've had no success and you get kicked in the stomach like that so much you're used to it, but it still hurts. But on Vinny's level, where it's somewhat successful, it's worse. It's worse because you have success, then failure, and then you go essentially success, and then back. But if you have here, and you have nothing but failure, and failure, and failure, but you never have here, you're okay. You're okay on that. So, I don't know. That's just my way of looking at it. But then what made things even worse is that the girls canceled and he got kicked in the stomach, and then he calls her back and reconvinces her to go out with him, and she says yes, then disappears on that because she called originally. I know I said about her, but she called originally and canceled it on that. And that's what makes it worse. It's almost dangling a carrot. And really, if I was in Vinny's situation, I wouldn't have called her. I would have just taken the first after the second kick. It really, even in some ways, would do it. After the second kick, if I got kicked out, it would have just been that, and that was her decision. That was that, her loss. But sometimes you got to follow your heart, which he did. Coming up, episode 9. See you then.